Welcome to the newest episode of Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. I'm your host, Jason Fraley, picking the brains of the top filmmakers, musicians, and artists of our time. Emmy winner Kiefer Sutherland performs a live concert at City Winery in Washington, D.C. on March 14th. I spoke with him about his country Americana albums, as well as his favorite roles from Stand By Me to A Few Good Men, and even his iconic Jack Bauer on TV's 24.
Are you talking to me, Jason?
Oh my gosh, it's Kiefer Sutherland. Hey, thanks so much for joining us on WTOP Radio in Washington, D.C.
Jason, thanks so much for having me. How are you?
We're doing good. Where are you calling us from?
Los Angeles, California.
Wow, it's a crazy time. I mean, Russia invading Ukraine, and I guess we figured we got to have Jack Bauer on as all this world's going to crap.
We're watching it as well, and it's like there isn't enough stuff that we're having to deal with in the world right now, and then this. It's disappointing to say the least.
It might make an entertainment reporter like myself and an actor musician like yourself on a day like today, it feels like, suddenly it doesn't seem as important. But then the more you think about it, it's the most important. The your concert at City Winery in DC on March 14th. It could help. It can help all of us heal a little bit. So, talk about why music is a healing force in crazy times like this.
Well, I think music and entertainment, those are forms in which we communicate, and that we share experiences and comment on shared experiences together. And so those are unifying forces. And I think the more we understand that we have so much in common, and that the things that we have in common certainly outweigh the differences that we have, those entertainment can bring us together. And I think has been something that has helped us be more peaceful over time than anything else. And so I agree with you. I think anything that can kind of help us understand each other better so that we can come together instead of fight is very important.
Absolutely. Well, I definitely, I promise you, I will keep most of this interview focused on the music. Maybe we can bow out with a movie question or two at the end, but
You can talk about anything you want, man. I'm seriously, I thank you for taking the time, and honestly, you can talk about whatever interests you.
Oh, well, we already talked Ukraine, so yeah, we can cover it all. but yeah, well, no, let's start with the concert. Yeah, but I appreciate you saying that. Yeah, we can get into movie stuff a little later, but a lot of our listeners, maybe they've seen you on screen, on TV and movies, but I want to introduce them to your great country Americana sound, your music. How did you? I guess born in, a British Canadian transplant to California. How did you get into country music and being a cattle rancher and a competitive roping cowboy? Like, how did you get into that whole scene?
After Young Guns 1, when we finished that movie, Emilio Estevez had a place up in Montana, and I went to visit him, and I fell in love with the area, and I bought a small farm there, and I started raising horses, and that led to raising some cattle, and that led to kind of learning how to rope and handle the cattle. And I had a real affinity with a rope, and I started competing as a team roper. My partner was a guy named John English, and when we would travel around the country to different rodeos, I would travel with these cowboys, and this is what they were listening to. They were listening to Johnny Cash, Merle Haggard, Waylon Jennings, Chris Christopherson, Willie Nelson, all the kind of original outlaw country stuff. And I just fell in love with it, because I think the thing that I've loved as an actor about working as an actor is being able to tell a story and getting together with a group of people to tell a story. And the thing that I loved about country music was that it was mostly told in the first person narrative. So for instance, one of my favorite bands of all time, Led Zeppelin, I couldn't tell you what the meaning of Black Dog, the song, was to save my life. But when I listened to Johnny Cash sing A Boy Named Sue, I knew exactly what the song was about. And I really enjoyed that. And so as a songwriter, I was drawn to kind of wanting to write songs in that genre. because it allowed me to express kind of my thoughts and ideas in a very direct first person narrative. And, so yes, I found country music kind of as a listener later in my life, but it had a hell of an impact.
Oh man, you're speaking my language. And my wife opened for the Dixie Chicks when she was younger. I mean, my we
Cool.
I'm a huge country fan. So I hear you. It's yeah, and I love the Zeppelin stuff too. And hell, I was rocking out the Super Bowl, the rap stuff like that. I grew up on that stuff too. But there's something about the country storytelling, man. I think you nailed it. It's that first person. Nothing tells a story better than the country. So let's go
Yeah.
into some of your storytelling. I know your debut album was Down in a Hole in 2016. Talk about putting that together and coming up with Can't Stay Away and Not Enough Whiskey as your two singles. How do you choose that those are going to be the two?
It's so funny. I'm certainly aware of the stigma of an actor doing music, so I was kind of drug into this kind of kicking and screaming. But I was dear friends with, for 30 some odd years, with a really incredible artist by the name of Jude Cole. And he produced the first two albums that I made, and we wrote those songs together. Um, it wasn't until he recorded a few of the songs and played them back to me that I kind of made the decision, well, if you can't stand by this, you can't stand by anything. I love the way he made them sound. So we went forward and made the record. And the truth is, I loved all the songs on that first album. He was the one who felt that Not Enough Whiskey was a good song to lead off with. Uh, and so we did, we had a real partnership, and this last record, the record that we've just released called Bloor Street, is the first record I've kind of done without him. I did it with the band that I've been playing with live for the last 7 or 8 years. And it's kind of much more of an Americana record than it is a country record. Um, but it was really Jude Cole who kind of gave me the confidence to kind of go forward with this, and I will be forever grateful for that.
Definitely. Yeah. Hats off to Jude Cole and your collaboration together. So real quick before we move to, you mentioned Bloor Street, but really quick, double back to the second album, Reckless and Me, because I think that like went to the top or number one or number two on the country in the UK. Open
Number one
Road.
country record in the UK for the year, which was certainly, it was something we were very grateful for. We've always done really well in Europe, and this is the first time we've ever charted in the United States, so we're very excited about that. Um, Reckless and Me was again just kind of an evolution from the first record. Jude and I, there were a couple songs that I'd written, songs like Saskatchewan, which were dealing with my mom and some and the idea of losing people, because I was getting into that point in life for me where you start to lose friends and you start to lose family members, and just out of that came a lot of songs that I started writing. Reckless and Me, the title track, again, just past experiences that I've had, from rodeoing to kind of just, again, big life experiences. And we made that record when I was shooting a television show called Designated Survivor. So it was complicated because we were shooting that in Toronto, and then I would fly to Los Angeles and we would record for 2 days, and then I'd leave. Uh, so I didn't feel like I was completely part of making that record. I mean, obviously, I played guitar and I sang the songs and I wrote the songs, but it was all kind of jumbled up with shooting a television show. So again, Jude put that record together beautifully, and it was something that we got to tour on for a year and a half. So and we would have these kinds of amazing dates where we would sell out Shepherd's Bush Empire in London, which was 2,500 people, which was a huge show for us, and then we were invited to go open up for Muse, and then go play in front of 75,000 people in Moscow.
Oh, of all places.
Yeah, of all places right now. So it was, but it was and Helsinki and Riga. we got to play these great shows with them, and so I remember the album kind of most fondly, just because I love those songs to play live, and very excited with that record for those reasons.
Fantastic. Thanks for all of that. And it's hard to believe they're already giving me the final question wrap up. As promised, kept it mostly to the music. Do you mind rapid firing, I guess, really quick through if I just
Not
throw
at
out
all, whatever you want, brother.
all right, let's rapid fire. Let's hit some movie stuff for all your fans really quick. Stand by Me, your Hollywood debut. How big was that for you to, get to break in on such a classic?
I mean, it's the luckiest thing on the planet, isn't it? I remember taking my girlfriend at the time to go see a screening for the cast and crew, and I wasn't very happy with what I did, and I remember telling my girlfriend I better get another job before this comes out. And then it ended up being the biggest film of the summer, so it shows you what I know.
All right. These next three, I'll group these together. All Joel Schumacher stuff, Lost Boys, Flatliners, A Time to Kill, just working with Joel.
Joel Schumacher was my friend. He was my boss, but he was also my friend. And Joel had one of the most unique perspectives on filmmaking that I've ever worked with. He started out as a costume designer for Woody Allen and a window dresser for Bloomingdale's, and ended up being kind of one of the most prolific filmmakers of the 80s and 90s. I miss him very much. He passed away a few years ago, but I will treasure the memories that I had with Joel Schumacher.
Yep, keeping the rapid fire going. A Few Good Men, Lieutenant Kendrick taking the orders from Jack Nicholson.
Again, it's the only movie that I've ever gone in on a day off to watch someone else work.
Right.
And when Jack Nicholson was doing the final scene where he says, "You can't handle the truth," that whole speech, he did it in two takes. And the only reason he did it in two takes was because I think Rob Reiner didn't want to make everybody feel like they wasted their time in the morning and came in for one. Jack Nicholson was extraordinary. Tom Cruise was extraordinary to work with. And again, Rob Reiner, it was my second film with him. I was just so grateful to have the opportunity.
And of course, your Emmy-winning role, Jack Bauer, in 24. We could use this up right about now. Just what's it like just being tied to a role like that? I mean, that's an all-timer.
Jack Bauer. I mean, again, I had no understanding and no expectation that 24 was going to become the show that it did. Uh, for me, it saved my life. In many ways, I would tell you, it saved my career. And the character was just, it was a character that I loved. It was I'm not certainly not Jack Bauer, but I really admired the character's integrity, and I really admired the character's commitment to what he thought was right, and I love playing it. I miss him very much, and I hope he's well.
I hope so too. Final one. Favorite movie of your dad, Donald Sutherland? Because I got a bunch.
Easy. My favorite film that my father made, and I have a bunch as well. Uh, uh, but I would have to say a film, Don't Look Now.
Oh God, I was hoping you'd say that.
A Nick Rogue film with Julie Christie. And I'm not a guy who likes scary movies, and it scared the crap out of me. But there's so many. When I think of like Ordinary People, and I think of films like The Eagle Has Landed, and Eye of the Needle. I mean, there's just so many movies. But Nick Rogue
Mash. God, he's done so much.
and MASH, absolutely. I mean, he's gonna smack me across the head if he hears this, and I forgot about MASH. But he's made so many incredible films, but I think Don't Look Now is one of those rare moments where, you know, as an actor, I'll always categorize film in three categories. So you have movies, which are fun to go to and eat popcorn, and then there's film, and it requires a little more thought, and then there's cinema, which is the true art of filmmaking. And I think Don't Look Now actually encompasses all three.
Yes.
It was a really rare thing, but I think it really is a piece of art, and I think all of the people involved should have been really proud. And I certainly was very proud of my father for his involvement in that film.
Yes, absolutely. The perfect marriage of the roller coaster entertainment ride and also the art combining for cinema, like you're talking about. It's rare that a filmmaker does that. So,
I
man,
agree.
that's amazing. Well, you've been more than generous with your time. We really appreciate it. And we even got some stuff with your dad, who you mentioned a boy named Sue, a boy named Kiefer.
Yeah,
He named. I think it was after his first director, right? Yeah, Warren
it's
Kiefer.
not a mistake that I chose that song. You grow up with a name like Kiefer, and you better start to develop a right hook.
Yeah, for the gravel in your gut and the spit in your eye, because I'm Donald Sutherland, who named you Kiefer. it's
That's
a,
very well done. Good for you, Jason.
it's a badass name, man. It's great. And also, I'm a twin myself. You're a twin. It's from one twin to another. Let's bow out on that one. What's it like? Do you guys have a special connection?
We do. I mean, I just, we've been together since day one, and I love her more than anyone, and so we have a connection like that. We don't read each other's thoughts and do all of that kind of stuff, but so it's not kind of the freaky stuff, but I love my sister to death, and she's my best friend.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. We covered a lot in a little time. It's Kiefer Sutherland, City Winery in D.C. on March 14th. Thank you so much for joining us.
Absolute pleasure, man. Have a great. Stay warm and have a great day.
Will do. We really appreciate it.
Very welcome, brother. Thank you. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks so much for joining us on Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. Remember to hit the subscribe button and give us a 5-star rating if you like what you hear. We'll see you next time. I wanted to take a second to tell you about an app I really enjoy. Living in the DC area is great, and Podcast DC gathers all of the local shows that I like all in one local app. Health, sports, local news, politics, and so much more. Podcast DC is the new local app with hundreds of DC area podcasts to choose from. I can earn exciting rewards just for listening and share the podcasts I love instantly. Available in the App Store or in Google Play, listen local with Podcast DC.